confirm if I'm audible.
Yeah,
Yes,
you are,
yes.
you are, you are audible.
Okay, sure. Nice. Um, okay, let's start. Welcome everyone. This is our first session for the web development track at GDSC. And before starting this session, let us introduce ourselves. We are a team of three. Frame.
Yeah, hi everyone. I'm Priyam and I'm from G2 right now. And yeah, good.
Ayush.
Yeah, hello everyone. I'm Ayush. I'm from UG3 CSC batch. Yeah, and that's it. Yeah, welcome everyone for this web dev session one.
Nice. And this is Shlok. I'm also from UG3 CST. So let's begin with our session. For this entire term, what we are going to target is initially like we considered HTML, CSS, and JS as the like most basic step. So we thought to cover it up in 1 or 2 sessions. So we are going to go through that. Then we are going to target front-end frameworks such as React.js. We are also going to cover databases such as MongoDB, and we are going to integrate them with the backend using frameworks such as Express.js or libraries. We are also going to have a guest lecture. The topic will be decided by the guest himself. And we are also plan to cover some small interesting sessions such as reverse engineering web apps, and there's a session on Flexbox and so on. So this is the roadmap. And for today's session, it will be a very light session for you. It is a kind of a revision for most of you. Today's session will be focusing more on the introduction to web dev using HTML and CSS. We are going to use some hands-on to just go through with each of them. We are not going to cover each and everything. We are just going to touch and explain what concepts are there, what things are present, and tell you how you can learn with it. I know like most of you are aware with it because of ASIP course. Uh, yeah, and just a second. Can you start recording? I believe someone is recording, right, from GDSC. Ananya, are you there? So you are recording, right? Okay, nice. So let's begin with our session. So let me introduce you to the topic called front end. So what is this? Anything that you see on a web page on your desktop is front end. In terms of web browser, we can call it anything that is displayed in the form of websites. That's a front end. Any software ID that you see, anything that is visible is a part of front end. Especially focusing on web browsers, we use HTML to create such kind of front end. So HTML stands for hypertext markup languages. It is used to add such contents on the web page. It makes use of tags such in order to add some contents on a web page, and we are going to go through these tags later on. So initially, we right now covered up that HTML is used to add content on a web page. So now you can think that you can design your own Google HTML or Facebook using HTML, but there's a problem. The reality is often disappointing. So the reason to cover this topic is because can you answer like which one looks better, left or right? I'm just seeing the chat, although I know the obvious answer, but just to keep you away, right? Like I know like right one looks nice because it is making the first one is just bare bones, just text and elements. The second one is like properly formatted and text. So it is making use of CSS along with HTML. So like CSS is what? It is a cascading style sheet. It is used to give style to a content on a web page. Any kind of content that is added through HTML is styled using CSS. So this is how it looks like. Again, we are going to go through this at the end of the session. So now you can see the difference that with HTML you are going to get two cons, but with CSS you can create two tars. You can beautify it in such a way. So now again you can design your own Google, right? As I said the statement. Uh, but your website is still dumb. You can just design it, only design. When you try to make it do some calculations or do anything with its buttons or something, it won't be able to. Your HTML or CSS website is just a kind of template, just the front end. So for that, you need JavaScript. To all handle all the logic portion of the web page, you need JavaScript to work with it, work with HTML and CSS, right? So that is the why I like HTML plus CSS JavaScript more than just using normal HTML. So I just gave you a rough overview of content covered in basic HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. I didn't went through inside it. That we'll go through one by one. But wait, there's more. What if I tell you that you can design that entire web page professionally in just 10 to 12 minutes? And that is possible when you have the designs ready, right? You just need to put them. And such things are provided by various designing libraries, such as one of them is Bootstrap. You might have heard of it. So this is another layer of CSS that is ready-made for you, and that you are going to use it with HTML, and it is going to give you some beautiful content on the front end. So now you can see that why HTML, CSS, JavaScript, along with some frameworks or libraries, makes it more powerful than the basic ones. So initially, like, I have a question for you. See, HTML is a markup language, right? So can I say it to be a programming language? Is HTML a programming language? What do you say? Uh, is HTML a programming language? Just answer yes or no. I don't need reasoning as of now. Why making it so obvious? So yeah, HTML is not a programming language. That's a bullshit. So it's just a markup language, just adding the content on the front end, nothing else. And that is it. When you go through HTML, you use CSS, then you use Bootstrap. You feel like you have achieved a lot, but that's a local minima. You like local maxima, because like there are a lot of things available on the internet. These range from libraries, frameworks, front end, back end, APIs, and a lot more. And we are planning to go through each of them in the upcoming sessions as well. So we are kind of thinking to cover up all those things that you see on the top of the hills. But initially, since this is a basic requirement, we are planning to go through HTML and CSS, and we are going to spend just 1 hour session on this today. So it will be mostly a revision session for you. So now you can impress anyone with the web page created by you, right? So now this was the overview which I was talking about. Let's start with HTML. So let me introduce you to HTML. Like in C programs, you can see a block, right? There's a curly bracket, there's opening and close, and you write some content inside. So we call up this thing to be a block which is having some content inside. Similar concept is present in HTML, and that is done by tags. So suppose you replace this block, like curly bracket, with a tag, opening and closing tag, and you add some content in it. So we can say that outer tag is the block for the inner tag. Outer tag is kind of a box where the inner tag is contained, inner elements of the content. So similarly, you can see almost in HTML, almost everything is written with an opening and closing tags. It can be anything that we'll discuss. So suppose I'm adding some content and there's an opening and close tag. So that content you can visualize, like think of it like a frame inside with the content, inner content in present. So whenever you go on a web page, you can kind of think of it like you can kind of like break all the things present on a web page in the form of boxes. So this is the outer box. I drew with hand. I don't know why I didn't use square. I just use line. So what you can do is you can see a lot of boxes are there. Inside this, there is another box. There is another box. There are two boxes inside one box. So this is a kind of scoping that I was talking about with the help of tags that we achieve. So, right? So in HTML, a tag is used to add element on a web page. Element can be anything. It can be an image. It can be a list, text, normal paragraph. So here I'm just going to give you a rough image of how it looks like. This opening p tag. This is a closing p tag. We close the tag with the backslash, and we write some content inside it. So it is going to be presented in the form of a paragraph on a web page. Nothing else. Not very much special. In a tag, there are some special attributes, some special things that are present. So those things are called attributes. These are used to define further properties of a tag. Suppose I want to add a link inside a web page, right? So I need to specify it with using a tag that I'm adding a link, and what link it is that I'm going to give using href. equals to some URL. So this is an attribute which is helping the original tag to specify its importance and tell where it is going to do, what it is going to do. Similarly, if I want to add image, I'll write img src is the attribute equals to its some value. So this is the common format that is followed here, and similar format is followed in the components that we are going to work in with the React.js. So that's why I'm covering this here. But how we are going to use these tags in an HTML document, right? So there's a proper structure that we need to follow. It consists of creating an HTML file, dumb bold ID. Then you have to open it with HTML tag, and then you write some content inside it. So inside an HTML tag, you have a head, you have a body. Head is used to just identify your web page using search engine, and body is where the content is present. So you can see there is HTML, head, open, close, then body. So here all the visible contents comes in this place, right? Now let's try to get some hands-on to you. Frame will continue from here.
Right. Hi everyone. So like I'll just share my screen 1 second. Just give me 1 second. Yeah.
Right.
So I hope you can share. I hope you can see my screen now. Right. Guys, can somebody see my screen?
Yeah, it's visible.
Okay, cool. I'll go on. Okay, right. So I'll just show like some simple examples. We'll start with like the most simplest one, which is the Hello World program, as you can already see. So first, I'll just like simply show you the code. So now every HTML code has to start with the HTML tag. Like if you remember, Shlok was talking about the like the entire HTML structure, the entire page. At the end, it just like completely boils back down to like having random tags. It can be a HTML tag, it can be a head tag, a div tag, img, video, everything happens by tags. So what we do, we just simply start with an HTML tag, and then like we have a heading, which basically like just you can see it, you can see on the top, you can see the index of this, you can see try it, editor, you can see this, like those things are the headings of those every web page. Similarly, you also have body, which finally, so yeah, now the body is the actual content of the entire page. Now, of like example, I'm not using a Chrome browser, so for me, my entire web page starts from this entire white box, my body will tag. Cool. So yeah, like that kind of it. So if you want to just show some text, you can just simply just put some text inside. For example, you can put hello world. So now I'll show you how it looks. It's simple, right? It just prints the thing hello world. If I type hello world, if I save this, if I refresh, you can see now it shows you that. So it is as simple as that. Now let's move on to the next thing. So now you can also have a list. Now obviously, like you must, I mean, everyone here, like spends a lot of time on the online, like like on the online world, and like everyone must have seen like so many, like it's not just filled with text, right? You have so many lists, you have forms, you have audio, video, you have like so much stuff happening on your page itself. But everything at the end, it boils down to very simple code, like. The programming part, I mean, it's obviously not a programming language, but like the coding part of the entire web page is kind of easy, I guess. It's actually very simple to understand. Right, okay, so I'll show you the next one now. So we'll go back 1 second, I'll show you the part 2. This is the part 2, like this is the thing you saw here, right? This code. So you have the same as before, HTML head, body, right? Now in the body, you have h1. Now what exactly is h1? Now h1, if people here are, like are familiar with Markdown syntax, remember, you have like one hashtag, like example, in Markdown, if you just put a hashtag on the screen and you put some text, it's going to become very big. So yeah, so really, H1 stands for header 1 text. Similarly, you have H2, H3, H4 till H6. Right, okay, I'll just show you right now. So right now it is H1. So for example, if I just make it 2, right? If I make it H2, I don't want this hello world to be very big. I want it to be big, but not very big. I'll refresh, see, it'll become smaller. Like that's kind of it. Like you can cycle through H1 to 6, and then like, that's kind of it. Right. So let's go back to H1 right now because I'll make it big. Good. Yeah. Right. Okay. So this is a normal paragraph of text, like as we saw before, right? Same as that. So P here stands for paragraph. You can see, right? Even VS Code shows that. Wow. So the P element represents the paragraph. Wait, let's look at H1. Okay, right. Wow. Cool. H1 everything. Cool. Okay. Yeah. So the H1 element represents the section heading. Similarly, you have UL. Now what is UL? Now UL is a list of, okay, I think you can just take C, right? Okay, I never knew the VS Code showed all this stuff. Wow. Anyways, yeah, okay. So what is UL? UL is just like defining a list. So UL matlab an unordered list. You also have OL and UL. You have the two kinds of list, OL and UL. UL is unordered, so basically like we actually don't care like what order they show up in. I can keep this on top, and then now see it's on top. It still works. It still has a meaning. But now if I just make it into OL, we'll try OL, okay? Now see, now it is 1 to 3. Now for example, if I keep this on top, it wouldn't make sense because I mean the numbering has to be correct. Right? Like, you can't have like a list with 2, 3, 4, and then 1. One has to come on top, so like that kind of it. Right. So that kind of this, just like it's like the most simplest thing you can do with it's simple code. Now let's look at the tags. Now obviously I already
Prem,
yeah. Hello.
sorry to interrupt. Your voice is a bit muffled, I guess.
Wait, hi. Is it fine now? Hi guys. Hello. Okay, wait. Just give me 1 second. Okay, now is it fine now?
Yeah, I guess fine for me.
Shankar, is it fine now? Oh, cool. Okay, thanks. Okay, I'll just keep my mic close to my mouth. Like that kind of. I'm actually right now outside, so I can't speak very loudly also. Anyway, okay, I'll go on. Okay, right. So now we'll just talk about some random tags. Okay, so we already saw head, we saw title, we saw body, we saw H1. We already saw P, right? P is a paragraph text tag. Now let's look at some extra ones. So now here we have a tag called IMG. If you remember from the slides itself, Slope already showed that, right? Remember? I'll just show you. Wait, if you go to tags and wait, was it page 1 or page 2? This is okay, page 2, right? Right. So if you open now page 2.html, so right, see here you have a GIF, you have an image. Like a GIF is also an image, right? So like at the end, it's like you can also show GIFs in this way. Hey, sexy, whatever. Right? Yeah, you did it. Okay. So now let's go back to page 1. Also, right, so yeah, we're gonna be playing so much on this. Yay, cool. Right. Okay. But yeah, anyways, okay. So basically, so yeah, it's like now what I did here is a hyperlink. It's like really hyperlink. Like you can like jump from page to another page by using this A tag. This A tag, right? Okay. The A tag, you can just read here. Wait, yeah. So this A element has an href attribute which represents a hyperlink. Hyperlink is just like a link. The link can be external. You can just, for example, see right now it is going where it is going to page 1.html. Now what is this? It is actually a file present in my same folder, so it works. But for example, if I want to go to this page, right? I want to go to this page. I just copy that exact same link and just paste it here, and that's it. Like now, if I just go back to my previous page, this is page, right? Click here to go back page. It won't go to page back. Yeah, see, it goes here now. So it's actually very simple. Like all this like simplest stuff like you can think of. So like all you have to do is like just change the text of like your thing, and like you will actually learn so much. Now let's move on to the next thing, that is tables. Now in tables, it's actually yeah, it's actually okay. Let's go to tables now. Right. Oh wait, not that. My wrong. Yeah, this one, tables, right? So this is a simple table, right? Now you might have also seen how many tables, like you in tables you can represent like so much data, like in tabular form, whatever, right? So like all that stuff is also like super simple in HTML. How you can do it? It's a simple tag called table. You just simply start with a table and then now tr. Now what is tr? Tr is a table row. R stands for row. Now what is H? Now okay, yeah. So every row has a heading and data, right? So obviously if you guys know that in the table, the first row itself is the has like what actually is the content of the entire the meaning of the table, right? Similarly like that. So you can actually see here. See here, it's the first header, second header. So like the first row has two fields. First field being the first header, second field being the second header. And then similarly, you have one more row, and starting from now, you can actually have see. Earlier we had TH, right? TH stands for like a table heading. Okay, for every column you have a heading, right? That now, but from then, like after that, you can simply use TTD, where D stands for data. Like you can just like actually put the start. You can start putting all the data now. You can actually like, start putting like some content here. That's it. Like yeah, like that's kind of like the table layout. Now I'll show you something very cool. Like all this is all this is just simply text. Yeah, this text is very boring. Like just looking at text isn't very fun, right? So now I'll show you some like random audio clips. Like audio, video, images. It's super simple in this. And okay, so now to show you the audio element, it's very simple. You have a thing called audio, right? It's okay. Yeah. By the way, in HTML, it is normally all the tags are normally named after what it actually does. It's very simple like that. Right. So you just have simply like an audio, like a tag called audio, and that's it. Yeah. So you just start with audio, and then you just have to put a source. Now, what does the source contain? Source, see, you like at the end, see, this tag is just going to play some audio which you already have. It is not going to create audio, right, for you. So all you have to do is you don't have to like link, okay, that hey dude, play this audio from here, right? So you can just put source and then like SRC, which again stands for source, and then you can just put the link. Now I think it's very loud, so I just keep the volume as little as possible. Yeah, just play this. I think you guys could hear that, right? Like the horse kind of neigh. Like you could hear that. Can someone confirm that? Like if you could hear that? Are
Yeah.
you, okay, okay, good to hear. Okay, right. So that's kind of the tag. It's actually very simple, right? So what you have to do is you just have to click on audio. Oh, so by the way, here I'm also specifying the fact that I also want the audio. You obviously want the audio file, but you also want the audio controls as well. So you can see this play pause. You can see play pause. You can see this volume bar. You can change the speed of the. You can see all that. So all that happened because of this keyword here, controls. And yeah, this is audio. Now let's go to video. Okay, yeah, where's video, right? I had a video. Okay, this is the video, right? Okay. Now, similar to audio, video is exactly same, like copy paste of the previous code, but instead of audio, just make it video. That's it, simple. And here we also. Oh yeah, by the way, it's a video, right? Now video obviously has some image, yeah, like it has a frame rate, it has a height, with all that. So you also have to like provide that. This is compulsory actually, this height and width. It's compulsory. You have to provide it. And similar to before, you just have to like also like you guys can hear me, right? It's fine, yeah, the audio now. It's fine, yeah, now the audio. Someone?
Yeah, it's fine.
Okay, cool. I'll go on. Okay, right. So it's simple, yeah. So like you can simply put a video tag and just put the source again. So you have to again like just specify the source and it will play it. So now let's try to play this. You can make it full screen. You can like you already have the controls as well with you. So same as before, right? Same as that. Right. So like that's kind of the video tag. We went to audio. Okay, yeah. So now I'll show you something which we actually did not actually learn during ISS. Okay. So this is called an iframe. Now, what exactly is an iframe? And iframe is a page inside a page. So now, okay, for example, if I randomly open, okay, if I keep this page open, right? I have this page open. Now, in this, all you can see on, like all you can see right now is what are just links, right? It's just random text and links. That's it. Like you actually can't see another Google inside it. It's just like at the end, it's just a blank. It's a canvas. The canvas is so many links and everything. So now one really cool thing you can do with HTML is that you can also have like a page inside a page inside a page. So now how do you do that? So there's a thing called iframe. Okay. So what you do is just simple. This called iframe. And then you just simply provide the source. Now here the source has to be a link, right? Okay. So now in this, I'm just simply providing this link, which is the website. Okay. If you actually go to this, right, this is the actual page. Okay, right? This is the actual page. If you just simply open it on a browser. But now I want this. Okay. For example, assume that you have this previous code. Okay. You have this code, right? Okay. I'm going to paste it here, and I'll just like simply paste this one iframe here. It can be maybe here. Who cares? Okay. I'll remove this part now, and let's run this. Okay, you have this, right? So just assume that okay that you actually have this small window, okay, like a small window in your page that you can actually have a different page going on. So you can actually multitask really well with this, like using iframes. So see, and like it is obviously it looks very bad because it's like so small, right? So obviously, like if you remember this, yeah, this is the actual page. It's actually very wide. It has so much content, yeah. Now obviously you can't fit the entire like it won't look very good on the small screen, right? So yeah, like that's kind of like the iframe while attack. Okay, it's that, I mean like this is something I really wish like they actually started putting a course as well. But I think like they kind of skipped it. I think I'm not sure why, but yeah, this is quite good. Yeah, and finally the last thing I would like to. I mean obviously like okay. Oh, by the way, right. So if you actually want to learn anything about HTML, right, or it can be HTML, CSS, JavaScript, anything. This is the site. Yeah, I think like the whole world will like if you ask anyone, yeah, like where do I learn from? This will like, I think like the entire world will like just point towards this. It's the best site ever. Yeah. Okay. So now I'll go to the form. So now forms obviously you might have seen like like login pages, yeah, like just like forms, like simple forms. So let's see now. Right. So this is a form. How do you do it? It's basically a tag called form. And in the form now, obviously now what consists of a form? A form has a label and has an input field, yeah, where in in the input field, you're supposed to put your content. Like, if, for example, if you ask me your first name, I'll put Frame, right? If you ask me your last name, I'll put Meta, right? And now, so like, how does this work? So I have a thing called label. So label, you know, look at this, for fname. Now what is fname? Fname is the variable name I'm giving to this first name, right? And then you have your actual text, this first name, right? So this thing can also be, you know, like, this thing can be like, enter your first name. Okay, you see this? Okay, my bad. Yeah, see, enter your first name. Now, by default, oh yeah, by the way, in some cases, you can also put a default value. Now here, the default value is John. You can, you know, like, if I can just make it like this. Oh my God, why do I keep saving it? My bad. Yeah, okay, let's see. Like, this is like the default value. You just keep it empty. Actually, normally people keep it empty. So see, now it's empty. So now you can just simply start typing your own name. Then you have a break. Oh yeah, there's a BI is the same transfer, like a break kind of thing. Like, it just like goes to the next line. Yeah, cool. So now in the next thing, you have an input. Now input has like two things. You have type and ID. Name and value are fine. You can keep something. But yeah, like, so your type and ID has to be like very like good. Okay, so your type is what? It is text. There are so many different kinds of types. You can have text, images, you know, like files, like all that stuff. So in this case, I don't name, right? So it's just a type text and fname, and yeah. So like, you can put your name, you can all that. Similarly, you have labels for the last name. And now last thing is, you see this type submit. See, till now we're using type text, right? Because you want an input, it is a text. Now you want a submit, and the value. Okay, yeah. So here you have this line, yeah, this line. Input type equal to submit and value equal to submit. So now here, value is just a thing on the actual content, but this is the thing we care about, type submit, right? Now this thing, you know, what does it do? It basically goes to this thing. You see on top here. I remember, like, when you actually like showed, hey, HTML page, I want a form here. You also specify, okay, that basically at the end of it, just if I click on submit, right? Type some random name, click on submit. It's actually going to call this thing. It's going to call this action page .php. See, it's like your first name. Like, yeah, like, basically, like, it has to be like kind of like a script kind of thing, you know, which takes care of it. See, like how servers are processing. Yeah, so basically, like, yeah, actually, like, I don't want to go that much into, like, you know, in depth, but yeah, like, that kind of it. That's kind of like the HTML hands-on kind of thing. If you actually want, I can share this zip if you want. Like, I just made like random zip here. Actually, yeah. So it has these random examples of stuff and all. Like, yeah, if you guys want it, like, just ask me and I'll share. Okay. Sometimes browser typically use other past I remembered. Yeah, it depends. Like, it depends on your code as well. I think like JavaScript is normally used for actually to keep the data somewhere safe, because HTML on its own can't, you know, like store anything. HTML CSS can't store anything. HTML CSS is just, you know, to make sure that everyone looks good. Like, everything looks how you want it to look. For example, in this, oh yeah, by the way, yeah, I'll just show you like one last thing, Pakka last thing. So right, yeah, so like, okay, so this is a normal page, right? So normal google.com/some random shit. Okay, now you have this, right? Now, if you actually just go inside the inspect, right? You go to the inspect element, and if you go to this thing, this top left bar, and if you just simply hover around the page, this is the entire page, right? You just hover over it. You remember, like, Shlok was talking about the fact that this entire thing at the end is just, you know, just boxes. Like, you know, like div everywhere. Just everything at the end is just div. No, it's just boxes everywhere. So I'll just simply show you an example of that. Right, okay, so look at this. So this okay, see, by the way, so this entire box, you know, it's like this, you have this very big box, which is the body, okay? The body tag here, that's the biggest box you have. Now in the biggest box, there is so much space, right? This is a big box, there's so much space. Now every space can be filled with a box of its own. So now, but let's have a look at this, okay? So see, in this the top thing, right? It's a div. Now, if you actually just look at this is on the right side, yeah. If I hover on the left side, you can see on the right side of the code. You can see this, yeah, this one, this div style margin top 20, yeah, this whole thing, this whole line, yeah, this whole line corresponds to this top header line, this box. Similarly, you have a box for this icon, right? I mean, for the Google logo itself. The Google logo is also like a box. Similarly, you have an input field. You have this icon. Everything at the end is a box. This entire page is a box. See? And see, this is the entire box. It's like the entire web page, and then in that web page, you have like smaller boxes kind of thing. Now see, this entire thing, this is a box containing every single search item, right? So, and then every search item also has every single search item, there's a different box for that. So everything at the end just becomes like a box. Like a box, in the box you can put the content is decided by you, but the box has to be like, you know, like a div, like a span kind of thing. And yeah, like, have I missed something? I think it's cool. Yeah, I think I'm done with this, the hands-on kind of
Yeah.
thing. Okay, done. Perfect. Thank you so much, everyone. If you get any doubts, you can like ask me if you want. Cool. Bye bye.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you for that wonderful session. Like, let me continue for that CSS portion that we are talking about. Uh, Again, if I'm audible, just confirm it. Hello.
Yes, Shlok, you are audible.
Yeah, you are. You are.
Yes.
You are.
And my
You are.
screen is visible, right?
Yeah, it is. It is. It
Okay,
is.
sure. Nice. So now, like, we are successful in boring you with HTML. So now we'll move to CSS part.
Thank you.
So, so the next thing is boxes everywhere, right? I mentioned about this previously. And as Frame was talking about, you can see everything is nested inside another box. But how these boxes are useful, right? So if we think about it, we can clearly see that suppose we give some name to a particular box. I say this box is Tom, this box is Harry. So I can say that Tom can have some properties such as the background color is red. I'll say this another box is having some another properties such as font is suppose green, font color is red, something like that. So we can assign name to a particular box and we can tell what are the properties that its content as well itself are going to follow. So that is done with the help of a selector. So let's see. What I'm written is like we'll give some name to each box and tell each of them how they should look like. Right, a simple term in simple terms. So such names are used to select those boxes. So names by name I meant like suppose there is a tag called p tag, right? Here I gave attribute called id and I wrote some name inside the double quotes. So this name will be binded to this particular tag. And whenever we want, we can call this name and specify some particular style design, and that property is going to get applied. So id so we usually do this with the help of css, whatever the things I was talking about. So I wrote some my id name thing. uh, so you can see there's a hashtag used there, right? So this is a special selector that we are using because we used id here. That's why we are using hashtag here. So similarly there are other things as well. We'll go through them when we'll do hands-on. So there are other things as well to select those elements, to identify and select those elements, and we use some symbols to identify them easily. So we keep this style inside a style tag, and this style tag is kept inside the head of the web page. So this is a simple thing. If you want, you can keep these styles separately in a separate file and use them, as well as you can give the styles within the tag, whether the tag is mentioned, but that's not the preferred way, right? So there are three ways of defining style. I'm not going through them. So ultimately the resulting web page looks like this. There's a head, there's a style tag. Inside style tag there's some id, and inside id I'm specifying a property. This color is red, size is 30, and then title, then text, and this is going to look like a red color text with 30 size. All right. So what properties can we modify? We come across this question, right? So you can modify height, width, color, background, font size, and a lot more properties. I don't want to read them. Why should I? So but there's a problem. How I'm going to remember all these properties? Uh, there are a lot of, right? So even I also don't remember each of those properties. I simply use Google. I should know like what I want to achieve. I want to center align something. I want to make a black border. I want to give some shadow. I'll just Google about it and I'll get the results because all the properties are there. You do not need to learn anything. Similarly is the case with HTML. You just need to know what you want to achieve at the end. Just Google about it and you'll get it. So this is how you learn, and if you are going to do it again and again, then you'll remember them. So that's it. Now let me show you some hands-on for that CSS portion. I haven't created any content till now, so I'll do it right now. Okay. I hope my screen is visible again. It would be, otherwise you will call me. Um, Let me remove all those extra details. I don't want to use them as of now. So this is a simple design that we are going to use. And suppose I create some elements. I'll show you what div does. Okay, just a second. I'll write again hello world. Right. So I want to style this div. What I'll do, I'll create a style tab. Style. Inside this, I'll write div because I didn't declare anything. I'm just writing the name of the tag. So this tag itself is the selector, and all the div tags inside this, suppose I had two tags, both will be selected with this selector. So we need to give some unique name, and that's why we are going to use ID or classes. So suppose I give this some background. I'm going to show some simple properties, and then we'll see some interesting one like animation or flexbox. That let's see. So suppose I gave some color red, right? Simple. And let me open this. Yeah, you can see some red color is there and with some very pretty small text. Now I'll increase the font size. So see, you can use some good IDE and you can see a lot of things which are provided by autocomplete. You do not need to remember any of them. I'll write just suppose 30px. Let me zoom again refresh. So you can see the size increase, right? So this is one thing. Suppose I copy paste in this div something else, right? I'll write something else. And you can see those both of divs are getting applied with the same properties. Now let's do something. What if we want to give a border to the first div, but we have two divs here? I'll write ID equals to something. Something. So this is the ID of this tag. Let me make it small. And since I'm using the new name, I'll use the hashtag to identify it. Right? This is an ID element. That's why I'm using a hashtag and then the name which I wrote here. And then I'll give a border to a thin, solid, black. So there will be a thin and solid line with a black border. Since I wrote thin, let me increase the width of this line. I'll make it 10 pixels broad. And you can see the first element is getting some applied with some border, right? That is it, like a basic styling thing that how do we achieve it. Another thing is, let me show you a pretty interesting thing that guys might use. That is margin and padding, right? So as he was talking about, as Frame was talking about, there are some boxes, and how do we use those boxes? Let's see now. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to center align this text. So I can use margin auto, and it is going to give equal margin. Okay. Maybe something wrong. Yeah, I'll use flexbox. That will be a better thing. So I'll give a width of 100% or whatever the width I want to do, and I can use display flex. So this is another good property. I'll show you what it does. Justify content center, align items center. I'll explain each of them, and you can see everything got in to the center. So this is just a way of displaying text, and I think I'm planning to hold it in a different session what these things do. So this is how a property is working for a particular element. What I want to do is I want to give some padding to it. What is the padding? Padding is the space from the border to the element. In the element and the border, there's some space in between. So we are going to specify it using padding. I'll give some again 50 pixels as the padding. And let's see, you can see like there's a lot of space around this HTML text and this border. So within like between this div and inside this text, we are having some space using padding. Let's use margin. What margin is going to do, it's the opposite of padding. It is going to add space outside this border. So let me add some margin of suppose 20 pixels and let's see what happens. You can see it adds some white space around it, right? It's not white space, it's just added some space, and the background color that is white by default is getting displayed. So it is adding to 20 pixel space around it. I want to customize the spacing. What I can do is I'll write, it follows a clock kind of a thing. First, this thing is, if I write just one element, it is going to get applied to all these four sides. If I write two elements, suppose 30 and 60 pixels, so as you can guess, it is going to get applied on 20 on the top and 60 on the left, right, top and bottom, left, right. Let me refresh, and you can see that the difference. 60 is applied over here and here, 20 and here and here. Suppose I want to give 100 pixels, suppose, to the bottom one. So this is for top, left, right, bottom. So if I'm going to refresh it, you can see the difference. Only this side got changed. And suppose I want to customize all the 4 sides. So this is top, right, bottom, left, like a clock in a clockwise direction. So I'm going to give 100 again to the left side, and you can see the difference here and here. There's a lot different. So this is how we give properties to margin in a single way. Similarly, you can give the sizing to padding as well, because padding also work on the same concept. There are several different nice properties, like you can give a box shadow. You can also do a lot of things with it. Let me show you something interesting. What should I show? Hover, right? That's a good one. So suppose I want to hover my mouse over this second one. I want to change suppose I increase the font size, right? So what I'll do is, let me give some name to it. I'll use it with another selector called class selector. This ID logically is used when we just want to name some particular element only once. So suppose I want to give this name to a particular element and only for the one time. I do not want to use this name again and again like this. So then I use ID. Otherwise I use class. So I'll give it a name, anything. So and in order to select the element pointed out with this class, I'll use dot something, dot and the name. And again, I can use similar kind of property, only the selector is changing, right? What I want to achieve is I want to override the background font. I'll just increase the font size. Font size to what? Let's keep it, suppose 35 pixels for now, right? And when I hover over it, when I like move my mouse above it, so what I can do, I can specify the property for that action as well. So I can use a colon and then write hover. I believe my thing is visible. And now when I hover, I'll make the property size as 70 pixels, and let's see what happens. Whenever I'm moving my mouse above it, it's changing its size, right? Okay. Now, but there's a problem. Whenever I move, it is like very jittery. When I click, like it's very instant kind of thing. I want to make it animated. So what I'll do is I'll use a transition. If I am right, yeah. I'll use transition. I'll give a 1 second transition time to make its change. I'll make the animation. There are various kind of modes. I'm just using one of them. There's a ease mode, you can explore about them. This is just how the animation progresses. So you do not need to know a lot about it. You just need to know how it works. Transition 1 second, ease, and I'll apply it to font size. Let me save. Let's see if it works. See, when I'm moving, it's changing its size. So this isn't just doing with size. You can do it with anything else. You can specify a different timing for different thing with different kind of animation. So you can see if I use ease in, so it is going to be very fast initially. Like you can see a change. Initially it is going slow and then it is increasing its speed, something like that. So you can change it. There are various modes. One more thing, interesting one. You can also do something you can kind of define a kind of animation which goes on repeating itself. So animation can be created using keyframes, right? So I'll use keyframes. You can see it automatically fills it. So it is using a particular format similar to the above ones. I'll just use @keyframes. I'll give some name to this animation. Let's call it my animation, just to make it easy to remember. And what I'll do, I'll tell whenever this content is 0% loaded, I'll make the height, like I'll make the width to be 50. Just a second, yeah. I'll make the width to be around suppose 60 pixels, right? Without disable quotes. Whenever the content is 60% loaded, if I assume there's a time and remove this comma, right? So I'll make the width to be around suppose 120 pixels. And whenever the content is around 100% loaded, so this is a custom animation which I'm giving. So I'm just giving a simple example, but you can do it with anything. With different properties, you can apply such animations. You can make a shadow appear. You can, whenever you move your mouse over here and something, or you want to achieve something, you can do it with that. So with such animation, you can change the height, you can change the shadow, like overlay, transparency, anything that you want. So suppose I want to make it extremely large whenever the time reaches 100%. So what I can do is I'll use this thing and I'll give this property to the animation that I used, and let me call this thing as my animation. I'll give it some time span that 0% or 60% or 100% that I was talking about. So this is with respect to this 5 second, and let's see how it works. So what I did, I again use a property called animation. I use a keyframe. I use give the name which I defined here, the time span, and the loop. It is going to loop infinite times. Or if you remove this, it is going to loop for once, and then it is going to stay as it is. Let me refresh it. So you can see as it is increasing up like automatically. So this is like some rough example which I gave. You can do anything with it. You can make it opacity as 0. You can make opacity as 0, and you can make opacity as 0 point. Or what is opacity? First thing that you should need to know. Opacity is the transparency that is visible. It ranges between 0 to 1, and I'll increase the opacity to full 1, and let me reduce the time span to make it more easy to visible. Let me change the width so that it looks more dope, and 500. Let's see. Oops. Yeah, this looks fine. Now you can see as soon as the time progresses in this 3 seconds, like make it 3 seconds, it is going to go through this animation, like through these keyframes one by one, and it is going to apply that property. So you can see the difference. And it is going to repeat itself. So this is a very basic thing that we did, but these are the basic blocks that you are going to use to build anything on a web page. So all those nice things that you see on a web page are built using all these basic stuff only. They just manipulate these properties, and it looks pretty interesting to see. You can make a blinking kind of thing. You can make anything with it. You can also move the text, right? You can. There is a thing called display. You can make use of display in order to do anything with these elements. So what I'll do, I'll write display, position. So there are very small concepts which are hidden inside it, and that you are going to understand when you are going to use them. And how are you going to use them? Just internet, Google about it, and you'll learn. So if I'll write, what I'm doing is, you can understand. I'm saying that suppose this element is having a position absolute. What is the absolute position? Don't think about it now, right now. It's just a name you can say to a particular property, nothing else. I'm saying it is going, this particular object is going to take 0 pixels from bottom, and right, say it is going to take 100 pixels, suppose. And let's see what happens. Okay. So what it is going to do, it is going to tell like this something wala box. What is this something wala box? This first one. It is going to take a particular position, some bottom, like this is used to trigger these two things. Otherwise, if I don't use these two things will not work. So for these, like if I want to align it, custom align any particular element on a web page, I can use this position. I can play with position absolute. There's a position called relative. There's a position sticky. There are a lot of positions, and you can use any of them based on that based on your use case. And let's see what happens. So you can see this element got placed in the corner, right? And it is always going to stick out to this corner. The reference that this page is going to, this thing is taking is of this body, right? The body, the content, the square box, which is the outermost one. Inside this, it is having 2 elements. First this and another this. But what you can do is you can make an outer box there, and inside that another outer box, you can align any other elements using this position. So what you can do is, just let me know first of all, like, are you getting anything? I'm just showing what all things you can achieve with it, or is it too confusing? I just want to know your response, then I'll continue. Otherwise, it will be a very kind of a boring session. I don't want to make it. and I'll do only that much if you are kind of grasping. I think I know like it's most of the part it's revision for you, but still. Uh, uh, I'm just waiting for any comments or chat. Cool. So I'm moving ahead. I don't think you'll find it very confusing, but yeah. So let me remove all this shit. So this is just a selector for the tag, simple tag. You can select any tag. So it is going to apply this property to all of them. Then we are using ID. ID equals to some name, and I'm applying those properties to the things which I have in this ID. Then I use this another class, buddy, suppose, and I'm applying properties with that. What else I can do is like, let me show you why I'm using ID in classes. ID is applied to one element. The classes can be applied to, same class can be applied to any element, but you need to make sure that the properties that you're supplying are supported by this element and you are not making any mess out of it. Right. So right now I just showed you a lot of things, and then the what all properties you can apply. There's a font property, color property, background property, a lot of things. Uh, Alignment properties, right? Display property. So all those things can be applied. Border is there, box shadow is there. Let me show that as well. I'm kind of messing it a lot. I'm creating a mess, but let's see. Box shadow. I don't remember the syntax. Is it 10 pixels? Let me see. Black. And there's some sort of shadow like Acha. That is getting updated sometimes. Okay. So let me give some box shadow property. I don't remember the syntax, but let's see. Again, I don't need to remember anything. You can just let me copy it and then see if it works. Yeah. So, right. So again, I'm not explaining any of the syntax. That's your with respect to top and left. If I write zero to both of them, the box shadow is going to align around this box. Suppose I give 110 shift, so you can see in 9. Let's see what happens. All these four things are coming on the same line. So all these four things are, and you can see the size which is of the inner element that is getting taken. That is like being occupied. All the width and all are gone now. So that is because we are using display inline. So similarly, there are hundreds of properties in CSS. Again, whenever you click on go to CSS tutorial, you can come across a lot of properties. I'll just show you a pretty interesting website called CSS Tricks. This is a like pretty good website. You can find a lot of new small things which you can achieve with this. You can see like whenever I'm hovering over it, what it is doing. It is like shifting the element, tilting it a bit, and there's a shadow that is getting applied. So this is how all these properties are getting used. If you want, I can take a proper session where we can proper focus on developing any kind of a component that you want. You can set the overflow, you can change this scroll bar, you can add a gradient background, you can do a lot of things. You can even change the cursor. That's a very basic thing. But yeah, if you want to create this box element, what you can do is let it be. I'll create one. Then we'll finish up with the session. I just wanted to show you the power of Flexbox. Okay, let me create a div, right? What I'm going to do is let's create this kind of a box. Okay, where we have properly aligned thing, because the what people face is with aligning the things. I created a div. Let's think of this as outer box. Now there are two boxes. This is the first box. This is the second box, right? So what I'm going to do is I'll write div. This is the first box, and there's another div. This is the second box. This is div is kind of creating a box, nothing else. So here I'll add image. Right now I'm just adding text in the form of reference. Here I'll add text. Right. So upon saving, it auto formatted this thing to a tiny UI, but I think you are getting it. Now let's see how it looks like on the web page. It is just an image or text, right? Let's give some name to this box, right? I'll give some name. I'll call it card. Okay, I'll call it card, and since I'm giving it in the form of class, I'll use a dot and then a card selector. And what I'm going to do is I am going to use to identify for now box shadow, a little bit of box shadow that will be 5 pic that will be aligned towards the center. That's why I'm using 0 and 0 I'm not shifting it. I'm giving it some space, 10 pixels. I'm not just going to give it a little bit spread, and the color which I'm going to use is it can be a gray color, right? So let me see how it looks like. It looks like this. It's pretty ugly right now, I know. Now what I can do is I'll reduce the width. I'll reduce the width to suppose, although we do not use pixels every time, but it's a session, it works. So I'm using 150 pixels width, or even more. Let's make it 80. So this is 180 pixels width, right? For these colors, what I can do is I can use multiple ways of giving this color. I can use a normal text, or I can be more specific. I can give any RGBA color, like using hash or something. Let me open color picker. Then, so I can give it in various formats. This is a RGB value. I can use hashtag 328F85 to something like this, and it is going to give me this color. Or what I usually prefer is using RGB, like this numeric value. So suppose I want to give a suppose I gave a green color. So what I'll do is I'll use RGB and this, and let's see how it looks like. It is a greenish tint, yeah. And now again, I'm going to make it more customizable. I want it to be a little bit transparent color. I'm using another thing, RGBA. What is A? A is used to add transparency to just colors. So here I'm going to use another element. This is A, that is 0 to 1, any value. If I add 1, it is going to be the solid color that I added. Or if I'm going to use 0.5, suppose, and it is going to be a little bit dimmer color. If I'm using 0.1, it is kind of getting disappeared. Let me zoom in a bit. Yeah, so this is a power of using RGBA. So suppose I use this thing. Let me reduce the spread to 5. Okay, chota. So let I reduce the spread to this much. Now what I'm going to do is I'll use a border radius. I want to make the box a little bit circular. So what I'll do is I'll use a border radius of suppose 30 pixels. So you can assume it kind of a radius. Again, it's pretty large, so I'll use 5 pixels. I hope you can see the round things, right? And now what I want to do is I want to center align these elements such that whatever the content I'm going to add, it is going to add in the form of a column inside this box. And suppose I added 3 elements. Suppose there was image, text, and text. All are getting added in the column, but they're not centered. So what I'm going to use is I'm going to use display flex that I was talking about. This is one of the mode that I was talking about. This is display flex. Let me save it. I just use display flex, and it auto assigned some properties to it. It made all the elements get like all the elements present inside it to be like beside one another. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to assign a direction. Right now the direction is towards the row, and what we want to do is we want to make it towards column, which was the default one. I changed the display to flex, and now I'm going to do is I'll give some direction. I'll write flex direction to column, and let me save it, and you can see it again reset back to the original one that we were having. But now there's a lot more things. We want to align it towards center. Let me see how we can do it. Align items center, and you can see the change. I use align items. So what you can do is I'll show you how it works. Actually, I'll show you how flex works. So if I use align item flex end, it is going to align the text to the end. If I'm going to use align item flex start, it is going to align to the start. If I'm going to use center, it is going to align to the center. You can see it is aligning in the horizontal direction. So align items, this property is aligning towards the perpendicular direction of the element. So suppose the direction is column wise, it is going to align row wise in the row direction. You can see thinking like that. And what justify content is going to do is it is going to align the elements in the incoming, like in the proper direction, the direction where it is coming from. So suppose I give some height to it as well. Suppose let me give some hard coded height for now. 300 pixels. Yeah, you can see, and let me reduce the size. So you can see there's a height in there, right? I remove this justify content and let it to be default. You can see the elements got stuck to the top. I want to align it in the perpendicular direction, the direction with the column is there, right? So I'll use justify content. It is going to get aligned to the center. I can use justify content space between. And you can see the first and last element got stuck to the top and bottom, and all the elements which are between, like suppose there are multiple elements, all those elements get aligned properly, right? I remove those now, but I want to achieve a like proper alignment, so I'll use space around. So what it is going to do, it is going to equally align all those elements. So you can find a hell lot of properties using flex box. This is like a razor knife, no, Swiss knife for like flex box for these alignment things. Okay, so this is a basic thing. Now let me remove this thing. Yeah. Okay, now what I want to do is I want this to have some name. Let me call this again image, and this to be have some body, text or something. Let's not call it text, let's call it card body. Right, I can give any name, but yeah, I can follow any particular kind of syntax, but I usually do not use that thing. So what I can do is, let me get some image from the internet. I need some random image. So this looks fine. So what I'm going to do is copy image address. Let's see if it's working. Yeah. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use img. Let's say I'm pretty old. img src. Okay, let me see if it is adding it over there. Oops, I can see the neck of the thing, and the other things got pretty small. What I'm going to do is I am going to apply some property. So let's call this card in title. I'm just changing the name to make it more easy to remember, and here I'm going to give the property as class as card image or something like that. So now what I'm going to do is I'm not going to use any of the attributes here from now onwards. I'm going to use CSS for everything. So you know that there are some attributes like height, width, and something like that. But I prefer using CSS for all those things, and that's a pretty good way of working with all these elements. You prefer using CSS to style anything. So suppose I give some height as 100 pixels. Let me zoom in a bit, right? Or let me see if I can give width. If I can just fit it width to 100%. Let me fit it with the inner content. So yeah, you can see it is occupying this 100 full width. I just don't want to make it space around. I just want to make it stick to the top. So you can see some changes there. And now what I want else to do is I want to give some height. Height we'll adjust later on. So okay, so this is how we proceed. So what I did, I broke down this kind of card in the form of boxes, right? And inside this box, I'm setting out each and everything based on a requirement. I'm slowly coming from out to inside. Now let's add some text. Again, this div is going to have some. Let's have some heading. I do not prefer using h tags anymore. I just use p, hello, and I'll use another p. I'll write lorem ipsum. So just some random shit. And this is going to be class as card title. You can make, oh, we have used card title, so it might create a issues. So I'll use card heading. Doesn't matter for now. And this is class card para or anything. So that's it. Now let's see. It is looking pretty bad right now, right? First of all, let's remove this outer height and let's see what happens. Yeah, it fitted. Previously, we were giving some hard coding some height and it was overflowing because that 300 pixels were logged and the elements were taking more space. Now it's looking better. What we want to achieve it, I forgot. Okay. Okay, so there's some text. We just don't want to make it as it is. Like, let's see. So first of all, I need some round. Okay. So what I am going to do is next is you can see. Let me zoom in a bit. I'll show you some other property. You can see the card is rounded, right? If I increase the border radius to suppose 15 pixels, let's see. So you can see the roundness increased, but this image is overflowing that roundness. And since it is overflowing, it is coming out of the box. So what I am going to do is I'll say that whatever is overflow, just hide it. And you can see the image got cut. Any overflowing text got cut. So now you can see a proper circular box that is outside. Let's change this color to some gray tint so it looks, or red tint, because we are using it. Okay, it looks not bad but not too good. Okay, so next thing is what we want to achieve is we just want to add some spacing around it. Remember, how do we add spacing inside? Either we can create a div and give some padding, a margin, so it is going to add some margin. But most most suitable thing which you can use is adding some spacing from from towards inside. So you can assume this to be a box and there's some spacing inside. So what I am going to do is I'm going to add some padding inside this card body. So card, remember there is a preference order. Like suppose you use card body twice from top to bottom, it is going to change some preference order of the properties. The slide that you will come across. Don't focus about it right now. So I'm going to add some padding of suppose 20 pixels. Okay. Now let's see. You can see some text got shifted. I've zoomed it a bit, but it's okay. So you can see some our text got shifted a bit, right? Now what you can do is increase the size of the heading. Okay, I'll just beautify that card heading. So I'm not changing any property here. I'm not changing all the properties inside my CSS. I'll use font weight. I hope I'm not boring you guys. And weight to be 600. What this property does is it changes the darkness or the boldness of the text. Okay, you can see it got a little bit bolder, although both of them are p tab. What else I can do? I can change the font size to suppose what, 25 pixels. Yeah, that's okay. What else it is there? Suppose I copy this text. Don't use those text. What I can do is I can reduce this text size, right? So there's some card para tag. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to select card para, font size reduced to 16 pixels. Or that's the default one. Yeah, it's a default one. That's why you cannot see the change. And to make it look little bit better, let me increase the width of the outer card, the card which is covering all these things. That is defining the width. So I'll make it from 280 to around 240, 180 to 240. So now it looks a little bit better. Let me zoom in a bit. So this is 100%, right? This is the 100%. This is the actual size of the image. So this is how it looks like in our inner portion. Now what we can do is, all we need to do is we can change the font. So what you can do is, I want to change the font. What I can do, I can use Google Fonts. I don't know. Yeah, it is going to work. So this is a service provided by Google. You can find pretty much all of the interesting fonts over here. What we should use? Let me use. This looks a little bit cleaner. Let it be. Without you guys judge me, I'll use this thing. So what I have to do is I'll just click on add this style. They provide me some links. I just need to copy paste those links. So these are like importing those links toward in my HTML file. So I'm going to copy and paste it inside my head because head contains all that shitty data. And this is the HTML, like this is the font that we are going to use. And they are going to tell us the thing that we are going to use, like the style. I'm just going to copy paste this text that you can see. I'm going to apply this property to all the elements present in the card. I'll use font family this thing. Let's see how it looks like now. Now it looks a lot more cleaner. Yeah, like now pretty duck. Yeah, so I think it looks a little bit okay. In card heading, what we can do is I can reduce the margin to suppose, like, let me see, margin bottom. I'll reduce the margin bottom to 10 pixels. So what I'm doing, I'm adding some, reducing the space over here. -10. Okay, -20. So yeah, it looks like this, but it doesn't look nice. Yeah. So now it's fine. So card body may, what you can do is I change the padding to 20 pixels, 20 pixels, 10 pixels, 20 pixels. Let's see. So this is 10, this is 20. So let me save it. Maybe some other padding is going to creating some issues. Light, let it be. So this is how it looks like now, right? So we took a kind of inspiration from it. We are not creating each and everything, but I guess you are getting my point. Suppose I want to add this thing, right? I will add another div element, another p element, or whatever. I'll give some name to it. I'll reduce the size. I'll change the color to orange, and that's it. If I want to add this thing again, like this bottom thing, I'll create a div element. Inside, I'll add an image, text, and text. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to use display flex. Alignment will be default row. I'll align equally spaced in by using this align item center and justify content. You can use try your hands on them. You can use flexbox to equally space them, and that's how you can achieve this thing, right? So this is how you can kind of create anything that you want. All you just need is imagination, the thing what you want to create, that aim, and the Google. You want to search about any of the properties. Now, next thing is let's center this thing, right? So that will be the end of the session. What I'm doing now, I just created a div, right, with a class card. What is the parent of this div? Just body. So I didn't create any other div or any other box. So I'm just using body to center all the elements which are present inside it. So I'm using body as the selector, and I'm telling that whatever the content is present inside it should be centered. So for doing that, I'm going to use display flex. I just have one element, so that's not an issue. But if I had multiple elements, I need to specify the direction. By default, it will be row. You can have a lot of things. Display flex direction center, justify content to center, align items to center. So this flexbox is pretty useful and pretty easy to use. All you need to know is what these things are and how do they work. Okay, so now you can see it's magical. It aligned everything to center, and there were several memes previously when I used to work with CSS that it is very tough to align anything to center in CSS, but actually it's not. You can do alignment pretty easily if you know this flexbox. This flexbox is really very useful. You need to know scoping and all. So let me increase this box shadow a little bit. Let's make it grayer. Better. Let's make it a little bit lighter. Aesthetics. And as soon as I hover over this card, I just want to increase the shadow as I'm just showing one thing. There are multiple things. There's an active property. There's a lot of things. Let's change this to, like, suppose 20. ठीक है, इसको 10 पिक्सल्स करते हैं. Let's see. Okay. And now I'm going to use transition of 0.5 seconds where the E is animation, and I'm going to apply to box shadow. Since there's one thing I don't care, I just apply to all. And this color is like pretty bad, but right. Okay, this is how everything works in this. Let me add a cursor, like custom cursor. I use my mouse above it, so I'll use cursor to pointer. So what I did is I just modified the mouse whenever I move inside my card box. So whenever my mouse goes inside, it is going to get changed. Let me change the color. This color is pretty bad. हाँ ठीक है. So let it be. I just wanted to show you how this thing is working. So let's not make it very much lighter for today, but in general, you will prefer a lighter style. So this is how these things are working, and this is how I designed this simple but neat looking book card. This just came random. I didn't plan of doing this, but yeah, we did it. So that is it for today's session. I hope you guys have enjoyed this CSS session. I didn't plan to do this much, but we did it. That's a pretty good thing. Like next time also we'll try to do something else on the spot. That we'll see. That. So I just need your feedback or any questions that you have. You're free to use microphone. You're free to ask anything. Initially I was a little bit doubtful whether I should cover this session because you guys might have done this thing previously, but since this is a prerequisite, and I thought like people usually don't spend more time on CSS, so let's devote a little bit more time on CSS. Hi, thanks. I hope you guys have understood that the more important thing, but thank you. Like I just also want to have some a little bit convo. What is the next session that you want to see after JS? Like I want to cover the basics of JS because we need those basics, not purely basics, but the ES6 portion, all those special functions that are present in JavaScript, map or filter and all, the destructuring operator and all. Apart from JavaScript, what else do you want to study? Like I have React.js in mind, I have Express.js in mind, MongoDB in mind initially. You can add Django and all if you want, but hi, thanks. So I got distracted. So what do you want to study like next? Initially I was thinking ki after doing JavaScript thing, I'll start with React.js because that's what I like the most, the UI frameworks. Nice, sure. And because all those things are interconnected somehow, like later on you are going to use some backend, you are going to set up that backend using some library. It can be Express, it can be Django, it can be Flask, it can be a lot of things. So all those things are specially used to like manage whatever the data coming from the front end and send that data to the front end or somewhere, anything else. Okay, sure, that we'll cover it about it. ठीक है. I'm planning to go with React later on, but I think that is it. You're open to a convo with me. I don't have any issues with that. Yes, that we are going to do because after like when working with Express.js, we are going to build some APIs, and that's a pretty good way of doing instead of using a pretty old Flask. Yeah, we are going to do APIs and requests. Just for the next thing, what should I do after JavaScript? I think I should start with React, and then I should continue with Express, and then I merge that Express with React. Then I use Mongo with Express with React. The time I haven't planned. It will be a little bit. Usually, I usually post a day before, but I haven't decided any timings because the next 10 days are going to be very hectic for you as well as for me. I'm not sure if I get time between these next 10 days. I'll take those. Like I'll take off one session, and after 24th, I'll do 1 or 2 sessions, and then in some December we can do a lot of things. Yeah, we'll go Mern. And also, like, there's a pretty interesting thing. In next year, DAS, you are going to work with Merl. But I don't think like people get usually who haven't worked with it usually get much time to explore Merl. And in those 10 days, you have to develop a full stack application, and people, so they just provided a what you can say failure kind of a thing, and you just need to fill that thing. So I don't think that's a good way. Initially, if we are able to cover up most of the things, then you might be able to create some interesting project while working with DAS. So that is also we are thinking we should at least cover it from our sides. What happens in the course, that's later thing. I hope you guys might have found it a little bit interesting. I tried to make this boring topic a little bit interesting, but let's see. Hi Shubhankar, you can ask. You can speak. Yeah.
So what I noticed was like sometimes when you just invert the color themes, everything gets changed, right? So can we just limit that to a few elements? Like suppose,
Yes.
for suppose in the website that you showed, suppose if I invert the colors for the image also, the colors get inverted and it looks pretty ugly. So like, can we just
that
limit
inversion? Like you are using browser to invert those things.
Yeah, but even if like suppose I somehow applied the light and dark theme to it, right? So all the other colors should respectively change, but the image's color should remain constant.
So in order to achieve this, what we usually do is we create a palette. We supply that color to the backend to the CSS part. Like we fill up kind of those variables and we show those colors. Like if you want to create a dark theme and a light theme, right? So in order to do that, usually what is a preferred way is, or what is usually followed is, there's a palette for both of them because you have the full control in that sense. You have colors for each of the idea. If you have a light theme, you have some particular color. There's a dark theme, you have some particular color. But I think you are saying to use some sort of inversion which is given by browser. I don't know, like I haven't worked with inverting things, inverting the colors. That's a pretty good idea. I don't think we can limit that thing. As per what I know, I don't think we can restrict to a particular portion if you are using browser to invert those color, browser or your mobile device to invert the colors of the display. Instead, if you are creating some sort of control inside a website in order to change the colors, then you can control, because you are having the full control of the website as a developer. Can you tell me like how do you invert those colors?
So basically like if I'm on Geeks for Geeks, they have a certain color palette, so you can customize it. But for example, if I'm just opening a random document, it's just a written text, then for that I use browser. Okay. And sometimes if it has images, then the images, like all the colors in the images get inverted. So basically the whole web page looks very zombie-ish.
Achha, right. So it is something like you have a Safari and inside it you are forcing to use dark mode or some sort of extension you are using of dark mode. So that is, you are controlling it from outside the browser. So I don't think you are going to restrict it over there, because the extension or the tool that is changing those colors does not know what are the content inside it. And if you try to customize it, I don't think that is you can restrict it to some specific portions if you are using some external tools. But if you are inbuilt, like if you're using it, if you're creating a kind of a toolbar, if you are creating a button to choose to change that thing, and inside the web browser, inside the website itself, then you can customize. You have full control. You can restrict anything. You can provide colors to anything. You can do anything inside it. But since you're using some external tool to do that, I'm pretty sure you cannot restrict any specific portion.
Yeah.
That is like, I might be wrong, but I'm
No,
also
no, yeah,
one year.
that was exactly my question. Like, I know that
Ah.
if I use an external tool, I cannot have. But like, suppose like I am the creator, so my question was like, can I limit for the viewer, just to like invert color for certain sections?
I don't think so. I don't think so. But yeah, if you are creating it, then you can. If
Yeah.
you are like, using external thing, that you cannot. I might be wrong. You can try it out, but yeah, I'm just
Yeah.
giving my opinion. I'll look into it, but that's a good question. But I don't think so that we can do that. Also, like, did you guys find any issues while with the session, like, so that I can improve next time? I might be a little bit redundant sometimes, but still, you can speak up. Hello. That's a light. We are going to close up this session now. Also, like, before taking the next session, I might post in the whenever I'm planning to take it, and you guys tell if you are free during those days, right? I'll message in the Discord channel for this web track. Okay, so I hope you guys have enjoyed this session. I'm closing this session for right now.